The following video dives pretty deep into some psychological horror, so if you get easily scared from that kinds of stuff, click off. No pressure to continue watching, and I won't shame you for it either. Lots of, I guess you could say, intense scenes will soon to be shown on screen. Sorry y'all for starting my 2024 video essays like this, but I really love Undertale Yellow, so I had to make a video on one of the aspects of this game. So, hey everyone, welcome back. Been a couple months, eh? As you know, I took a break from the overwhelming stress of 2023, and this year might be even more ambitious year than the last. I have some insane videos planned ahead, including some about Knuckles, so don't worry, Sack fans, I promise it'll release soon. Anyways, to start off the year, I'd like to talk about probably my most favorite fan game of all time. That's so good it kind of descended from the title fan game and more like a game on its own. Yeah, that's right. Today we're discussing Undertale Yellow. Not pacifist or genocide though. We'll save those for another day. Today we'll be going over the third route, neutral route. More specifically, the ending. Neutral ending can be obtained pretty easily, killing off a couple of main characters. Or if you abort the genocide route midway through. Once you reach Yuji apartments, rather than just going to the rooftop fairly easily, Flowey actually warns the player in advance. And moving forward nonetheless leads you to discussion with Marlet, where she talks and then Flowey kills her off before we could get some sort of happy ending. This is where the real nightmare begins, starting with the first special track that plays for the neutral route, which is actually fire as hell. This track specifically is a motif of sorts to the intro to Omega Flowey in the Undertale's neutral route, but way more terrifying than the original, already giving us a hint as to what's to come. Flowey goes on and rants after he kills Marlet about how he's basically tired of our shit and he tries to absorb our soul, leading to a cutscene where he gives us the revelation that he's basically the reason why we got so far, and he's the person that put the other switch there in the ruins, back at the start of the game. Super cool how that was set up ever since the beginning. However, we aren't here to overanalyze the entire neutral ending, so let's just skip to the first boss for the neutral ending. The boss begins just like the original Flowey encounter, where he taught us the main game stuff, but now it's completely twisted after the first attack. The background has changed to something we've never seen before. The entire dialogues are completely fucked up and the music is just this adrenaline pumping banger. We haven't even got into the boss itself. Firstly, the item button is completely blocked off, as well as the fight button, rendering you basically useless for the entire fight. All you can really do is use Act, which does turn out to be a bit of a help if you decide to click on Endure, which heals HP. As for the boss attacks, there's so many of them that are just fucked up to another level, and it's awesome. There's some interesting ones like the pulsing pellets or the soul attacks, but we'll focus mainly on the more horrific ones, such as the one where an incredibly hyper-realistic and disturbing face of Flowey just pops up and you have to avoid the tears, or the attack where you have to dodge a wave of pellets while there's thousands of hands from the bottom of the screen reaching out for help, or maybe the one where a fucking faceless flower just starts hurling attacks on you. We're not even done with the terrific experiences yet. In fact, strap in because the roller coaster is only beginning. I feel like it is worth mentioning how this fight also takes you places you've been in both Undertale Yellow and Undertale. True Lab, Waterfall, the ruins, and it goes on. Running for long enough in this section takes us to a void, and this is also where we get to one of my favorite parts of this ending. Here we see what seems to be a memory of Azrael just crying out for his family after being turned into a flower, and the music really sets the tone of this entire scene. Just complete isolation from the rest of the world. No matter how hard Azrael tries to cry out for someone to help, nobody would come. Both pretty sad and disturbing at the same time. The game breaks again after some time and we get taken to Snowden? However, the music clearly shows that this isn't Snowden. Or at least not anymore. The theme feels incredibly similar to that of Everywhere at the End of Time music. But maybe it's just me. We meet up with Marlet and somehow she's alive, but it doesn't matter, right? Because now we can go to her house from Snowden and we can have the perfect ending we wanted, right? Just us and Marlet, and no worries about Zeroba trying to kill us, or Asgard trying to kill us. But of course this was another setup as our face completely melts off, and oh man, honestly this was probably one of the craziest moments in the game. She turns into a bunch of goo after staring into our soul and we move forward. We hop onto the Aviator, and then we meet up with Flowey in his almost final form as he discusses what comes next after he absorbs her soul, and then we face off in one final fight. Okay, but before we actually get into the final fight, I do want to discuss a little bit more about the build-up. I mean, come on, like the lightning showcasing a bit of Flowey's face looks menacing as fuck leading into the reveal. Anyways, back to the final fight. The music is a little similar to the Omega Flowey fight in Undertale, but it's also extremely different, and I probably love this a lot more. I mean, without a doubt, Your Best Nightmare is iconic, but Afterlife, the song that plays during this fight, is so peak. Let's have a look at the attacks just to see what we have to deal with in this fight. Oh god, what the fuck is that? Yeah, so in this fight, rather than us having to deal with the soul segments like Omega Flowey, we just get to fight 6 other versions of this boss. All of them have custom tracks, custom art styles, and custom attacks. The amount of effort put into this boss fight is actually insane. So let's go over all of them since they are all terrifying in their own right and are a major component to this video. I think we'll start with the first specimen Patchworked. The art style here is composed of several different materials mashed together, and the attacks are balls that Flowey drops down and a bunch of rusty nails that shoot out of the fingers, which is honestly pretty freaky, so I could see why this could be unnerving upon first playthrough. The second specimen is Specimen Organic, which is my personal favorite out of the 6. As the name hints, this version of Flowey is just a bunch of cells and tissue turned into this very unnerving beast to look at. The attacks are also a bunch of cells cells. Up next is Specimen Clay, which you guessed is literally created from clay and has one of those attacks as clay blobs. He's just a little silly guy. I have not spoken about the tracks that play during these sections, but I will be having them as background music every time we switch to a different petal phase. Continuing onward for the fourth specimen, Specimen Paper, which is self-explanatory. The face though, it's pretty fucking terrifying. I mean, just look at those soulless eyes. Maybe one of the more scarier ones of the 6. However, then again, there's also Specimen Polygonal, which we'll get to right now. This one gives us the vibes of those old PS1 graphics type games, and it kinda hits right at home. This is another super terrific one and probably is even better than Specimen Paper in terms of soullessness and maybe even the scariest of the bunch. Especially one of the attacks where what seems to be a flower mutant crawls its way over to us just to attack us. Super cool yet almost petrifying attack. Not to mention the ending where the face turns even more nightmarish than it was before. That's not even all. Apparently the files are unused polygonal flower sprites, which I'll show on screen, and they look horrendous but in a good way. Massive shout out to whoever found it and posted it onto the Undertale Yellow wiki. Link will be in the description if you want to see some other unused content logged there. Lastly, we have Specimen Mechanical, which if you'll notice has a pattern that looks almost akin to Cuphead. I mean, mostly the art style and attack, so it does feel a little bit similar. Following this, Flowey gets bored of us and the run eventually ends, ending neutral route. So as you can clearly tell, I am in love with this neutral ending, and this ending is definitely a thrilling roller coaster to be on. There's tons of extra stuff that I won't go over in this video. The neutral ending is so incredibly layered and detailed that if I kept going, this would go on for possibly forever, so let's just end it here. Next time I may cover the genocide routes, as it has its moments too and I love it a ton. It also features one of my favorite characters as a key role in that route, but we'll get to that in the future. For now, thanks for watching and I'll see you around.